Today's ceremony is going to be beautiful. It's going to begin as it should be with our hosts, and these are the Alaska Natives and the protocols that they have, and beautiful drumming and singing and dancing, and then we will follow up with our protocols of Oli and Melihula and what have you, and then the afternoon here will end again with our hosts. So it's kind of like Hawaiian, Alaska, Hawaiian. That's how it's going to go. Oh, no, Alaska. You know what I mean.
Yes. So I think we were talking earlier, Manu, about the dynamic between culture
Yes.
and protocols. This is not our aina. We are the guests.
Yeah.
We are the visitors to this aina of Alaska. And we are very fortunate here today, this morning, to guide us through the Alaska Native opening ceremony. Joining us today is Marina Anderson. Mahalo for
Aloha,
joining us
Marina.
today.
The day is getting good. My English name is Marina Anderson. That's the name that I have for tax purposes. But my real name is Skafsit Khajad, which means dancing flicker woman. I am Haida and I am Tlingit, and I was born and raised on Prince of Wales Island, which is south of here, where we'll be welcoming the Hokulea in a few weeks, and I'm very excited to do so. I'm very lucky to be the director of the Sustainable Southeast Partnership, which is an Indigenous values-led collective impact network here in Southeast Alaska. And so we do a lot of really good work here in the region, and so it's great to see you coming through, and you'll see a lot of our partners, as we call them, on the ground, and they'll be there to support you along on this journey as well.
I think, another interesting thing that we've learned is the kuleana, or the responsibilities of Native peoples here, transcend everywhere. It's not just in certain places, certain people. It is for everyone. There is this sense of ownership, of direction, of future, of what is present. Just really inspiring.
You know what's interesting is that our Alaska hosts have been using the word kuleana a lot, so they understand a lot more than we think they do. And as you mentioned, kuleana meaning your responsibility, but the way we really all look at it as well, it's a privilege. It's the privilege to be taking care of one another. And just a quick comment about the hospitality. If you think Hawaiians have warm hospitality, we have been treated so well. I had to get a bigger shirt so I could fit in here because there's lots of herring and salmon that's gone in. But the eating and singing and dancing, and my legs are so sore from all these celebrations we've been dancing at, but learning so much.
Well, when you haven't seen your family in so long, how do you welcome them?
You know what? So this is really like a family
generations
reunion. That's what it's like.
Since we've seen each other.
I haven't seen you in 100 years.
I haven't seen you in 100 years.
Not
and you
looking bad
haven't aged
either.
a bit.
Oh boy. Anyway, okay.
But again, really excited to be here. Thank you for helping us share your story, your mo'olelo, with all of our viewers today.
So again, we're here in Juneau, Alaska, and we're at the University of Alaska Southeast, and we're in the rec hall here, and you see the festive party lights, and we're about to begin with a beautiful, multifaceted ceremony that marks the global launch for Hokulea and its escort boat Kolea in this journey, this huaka'i, a 4-year-long huaka'i or journey, Moana Nui Akea.
Manu, if I might ask, what was, we were watching at home through the welcoming ceremony. If there's one thing that you really mind about experience, what was that?
We, the Hawaii Kamehameha and faculty, everybody came together. We all faced out to the coming in of Hokulea way off in the distance, and it was like everybody knew each other from welcoming and so loving. And these people, they're huggers. They like to hug, like the bear. I guess the bear hug. Yeah. No, but I think that's what I really noticed. And also, because we're right on the ocean at Auk Bay. The weather can change like that. It's here, and it rained right at the perfect moment. As soon as the crew stepped off the Alaskan canoes, they started to have a nice misty rain. Here we see the Auk Bay welcome ceremony. Maybe you can describe, Marina, a little bit about the canoes on your side of the Pacific.
Yeah, so these days we have canoes in many of our villages. Traditionally, the canoe would belong to your clan, to your family. But these days we have canoes in our villages, and then we have some general canoes in our that are for other have some general canoes that are for other people to be able to join. A gathering like this, when we have like celebration, which is our big get together every 2 years in Juneau. Mark your calendar for June 2024. It's going to be a good one. Our canoes come on journey with each other, and they meet up along the water, and then they come in together as one big canoe family.
I would love to be there in Juneau in June.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think when you see how ornate the artwork is as well, it resembles totem and your aumakua, your guardian spirits as well. Another connecting point for us, people who are of the land and of the ocean have this personal connection.
Maybe explain a little bit while we're looking at the drums, a little bit about, because they're so haunting and they're hit with with precision, and a little bit about the name of the drum and how that's used in your performance.
Bao is the name of the drum, and I mean, the way that it's used in our performance is different for everybody in the way that they sing their songs. And sometimes you'll see a really fancy style with the drum, maybe somebody going behind their back if they're trying to flirt on somebody that they just found out isn't their cousin, But then sometimes you'll see it a little bit more stoic and straight as well. I make drums out of deer hide. And if you've seen my drum, it's kind of translucent, and that comes from taking that hide and putting it in the river and letting that water, that fast-flowing water, rush through it and thin down that hide and make a really bellowing sound as well.
Well, we did see you with your drum night performing.
Many dinners that you keep feeding us and entertaining us, so we have to entertain you too. But you in particular, and you also composed, have you written your own songs? And it's similar in Hawaii, where composers are sort of writing things kind of in a traditional format, spreading their experiences today. And you are something, I must say. Marina.
Yes, I have composed this year. I composed this song. First time we had a potlatch in February. My clan had a potlatch, and so I had composed a song that is a song that now belongs to our clan. It's our clan property. And I think that when you're in a place to compose a song, that message is heavy. I have my lip pierced, reminds me that my words are heavy, and so the message is heavy. And it was February, and I was going through the emotions of the darkness and of the winter, and I thought, what do we do? We need to take care of ourselves. We need to make our mind clean. When we make our minds clean, everything is okay. So the song that I did compose was all around making your mind clean, and then we'll be able to do good things for each other. And this is a song that as a song that I composed and belongs to our clan, I believe it's appropriate that we gift it to you to be able to use this song so that you can remind yourselves and others to keep your minds clean as you go about things. Because if we're cooking dinner and we're angry, we're not going to feel good after we eat that dinner. If we're on the canoe and we're arguing with each other, we're not going to be able to focus, and that's when that weather could really pick up on us as well. So keeping our minds clean.
It's amazing the power of suggestion. Yesterday we were in, is it Taku River? up to the glacier, and all of the Hawaii gang and our Alaska hosts as well. And there was a ceremony there that was very poignant. It was kind of really kind of kaumaha. It was kind of sad, but it was done on purpose. And then all of the things that were said, when that was through, and there were tributes of flowers into the water and what have you. As soon as that was done, the leader who's guiding the ceremony says it is now time to let that lu'ulu'u, or that heaviness, go, and it's now time to celebrate and rejoice. And everyone, you could feel, because we don't get told necessarily how to feel sometimes, but it was really directed that now that is complete, it's time to celebrate, and you could feel it right getting chicken skin just saying that.
I think that's why this morning and this opening is really ideal, in that it's with that same spirit that we come to this point of Hokulea's departure from here to really start the journey that it started with the blessing of the opening, and now we come to the larger community and we will send them off, starting with the protocol of our hosts.
Correct.
Joining us today for the global launch ceremony protocol, you mentioned earlier, Manu, the students from the Kamehameha schools.
Yes.
So they've been preparing for this as well.
That's
so
correct.
we're really excited.
You know, it's first of all, Moana Nui Akea Voyage, Polynesian Voyaging Society, partners with Kamehameha schools and with many other entities, commits to 4 years of learning. And people might ask, well, why are we in Alaska having a launch for this? And it goes back to the handshakes and the commitments and the hugs and the promises made 30 years ago when Sea Alaska Corporation gifted, and it was not an easy. It was a process. The two Sitka logs that became Hawaii Loa, the canoe. So what we're finding through the stories of our hosts is that they have more stories about connecting with Hawaii in the ancient past than even we do. We're familiar with the whales that come in back and forth, and the Hokulea, or the plover bird that flies back and forth. But the stories are real. And this one, 30 years ago, through the efforts of, again, Sea Alaska Corporation and the Polynesian Voyaging Society, Pinky Thompson, and his son, Nainoa Thompson, who's now the CEO of the Voyaging Society. So the connection there, it's not easy to really understand perhaps, but bringing the protocol, the dances and the chants, and having them learned and then performed well, by students of Kamehameha schools and all of the Hawaii gang up here, it really is heartwarming. So we'll learn more about why we are in Juneau, Alaska. And hopefully you can feel the warmth that we are feeling because of Marina and her people, her family, and all the wonderful people in this beautiful place.
And if I could add that, those Sitka spruce logs that we're talking about here, what's so incredible about our place, our Asquani, the tree people, is, those logs are carrying you across the ocean, but since you've been here, you've been eating the tips of those spruce trees. You've been drinking the water with that spruce in you. So not only does it carry you across the ocean, it sustains you, it enhances your health. All around, everything is always hugging us in that way.
It's like metaphor and literal at the same time. It really is. It's I'm learning a lot. Thank you. Mahalo.
I think, Manu, when we were listening to these stories of 3 decades ago, being told back to us is kind of an interesting place to be.
Yeah.
We want to be present. We want to be in this place at this time. But when you listen to those stories told back to you, it transports you back there.
Yeah.
And so even if you personally weren't present, it draws you back in when you hear the stories. being told back to you by the people of this place.
You know, and the Sitka spruce logs, you know, the reality is, and Nainoa and Bruce and all of them tell the story very well, we really have had no core that was suitable anywhere on any island because of deforestation over time for a number of reasons. And so it was such a struggle to make that, to accept the gift from Sea Alaska. And so 30 years ago, as part of the whole process, a bunch of your family came up to, I think it was in Kapapala or Keauhou on Hawaii Island, and they did a major planting of koa so that they can help us begin to reforest. And 30 years later, we had the Ho'oilina conference in Honolulu, went back to that same spot and planted more, and the trees that our Alaska ohana planted 30 years ago are huge. Not ready for canoes yet, maybe an ukulele. but the point is that, so we, in order for, I think for Hawaii through Nainoa and Pinky Thompson and what have you, PVS or the Voyaging Society, was we can't just take a gift without putting back. And I think it was described that these logs weren't logs as a gift, they're your children, that you are entrusting us with their children. Now to carry whether you're Alaska Native or what a responsibility. And privilege.
Yeah, and it's not what history and similarities that are speaking today. And I think about recently we're here in Southeast Alaska to protect over 10 million acres of the old growth from clear-cut logging is not owned by, but stewarded by rest of that, and then it's gone. And what does that money do for us? That doesn't sustain us. We don't remember it in our spirit. And so we actually were able to get that shut down. And in turn, a lot of the work that we're doing with the Sustainable Southeast Partnership is building our economy for the first time since colonization from the inside out, with the community priorities, with the community needs, and knowing. And not only that, we've secured access to those trees, to those logs that we need for cultural reasons and cultural purposes. And they've asked me before, well, how many trees are you going to need for totem poles? How many do you need left? And I said, as many as you have plus one, because our people have no plans on leaving this place. And even more than that, Sea Alaska Corporation, who had, entrusted you with these logs that we're talking about here, has been incredible at making sure that we have access to, for lack of better terms, our resources, our different lifeways that are out there, the plants and the animals, and empowering our people to reclaim our carving and to reclaim our traditions around this. And so it's really beautiful to see that together we're on this journey, and we probably didn't know that we were both facing the same journey and hurting separately, right? But now we can heal together as we move forward.
Worldwide, reforestation and deforestation has been a conversation that's been going on for 30 years.
We're going to be having, even in ceremonially speaking, there will be references, subtle and bold, about issues such as reforesting, or deforestation and reforesting, also global warming and the rising of seas and the relationships between people and the power. And if you think aloha only lives in Hawaii, I can absolutely tell you that aloha is alive and well here in Juneau, Alaska.
We are just starting to get the call and the beginning of the ceremony.
We have new vehicles in the parking lots. Soon.
That
license AWF228, if my eyes are working right. And there is a blue Subaru, license plate EYA359. Please move your vehicles. We need the bus to be able to get folks to and fro the larger parking lots.
You know, it's funny because I have a silver 4Runner, but I'm sure
You can
that's
go
not
to the
mine.
UAS parking lot across
University
the
of
way
Alaska Southeast parking lot.
You didn't bring it with you.
I didn't bring it with me. It wasn't in my carry-on or luggage.
But there are so many people gathering today, and we are expecting more guests that are coming. As you had mentioned earlier, Manu, it was going to be an outdoor event until the weather determined other.
That's right. That's
wise.
right.
So
This
we are
morning,
expecting that.
right here in Juneau, I mean, I went outside about maybe like 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. It was just beautiful. And then, but somebody said, well, at about 2 o'clock. And because you can predict it. Can you feel it? How do you know weather is coming?
Well, it depends what weather.
Yeah.
And so it just depends. You feel the air. You can feel maybe the way that it feels warm, but it looks like it. It's coming in. Many different ways that we tell the weather. Constantly reading it.
You know, we're much more urbanized, I'd say, in Hawaii. I think we can all agree on that. But there's so much land everywhere, and you don't need to develop every inch of land at all, or even because it already is developed with its forests and with the watersheds and the glaciers. And here, we have to really preserve our water in Hawaii. We call that kamalama ana i Hawaii. But there's so much water here, and water rules the land. I mean, water goes where it's going to go, and you or we as Kanaka have to adjust to where nature is going.
It is definitely a force. You look around at the mountains and you look around at the glacier. It reminds you how small you are as the human, and to the idea of the environment and what your role is in comparison to that surrounds you. It's magnificent.
I'm not sure if we have maybe a couple of minutes, but in speaking with Marina a few days ago, and you have a whole life of outdoors, of hunting and gathering food and watching nature that we need to keep an eye on. Maybe a little bit about what you do.
Gosh, I don't know how to explain what I do. I just exist. But, well, what I do is when you were just speaking about, people in our relationship to the area, we're nothing but a species that's within this environment, right? We're one of the species that's been here. We've been here since before the trees grow up. We watched these trees grow up. We raised these trees and raised these forests that we're looking at here. And so we're part of this environment. And so with that, I follow what my body tells me to do, and I am a traditional harvester. In the spring, our new year starts in April. It's when the herring spawn, and when our whales come back from you, and the whales come in, and all of the animals are alive, and all of us we're alive, and we're going out there, and we're setting hemlock branches, sending them down to the bottom of the ocean, so that the herring can spawn on them, and we're harvesting kelp with herring eggs. And then we're, handing that out to everybody and getting everybody's bellies full. And then pretty soon it's almost time to start gathering black seaweed. But that's far away. That's out on the open ocean. And I live inside of protected islands. And so we go to the forest to read a plant that tells us when it's time to go out to the ocean. And then after that, it's time to start harvesting those spruce tips and different leaves. Right now, it's a great time to be harvesting the leaves of the blueberry plant or the fireweed plant, and to be making teas out of those, to be harvesting sichinjao, or I'll refrain from saying it in English, it's our medicine plant, so that we can make salves and teas and the things that we need. And then we move into fish, and then we move into berries, and then we move into harvesting other flowers, and then we're going to move into deer, and then we'll go into seal. And so throughout the year, my calendar is not January through December. my calendar is harvest to harvest to harvest to harvest, and making sure that everybody is fed and taken care of along the way. And not only making sure that people are fed, but making sure that their spirit is fed as well. If they have the desire to or the need to learn, we're there to teach them how to learn our ways of harvesting our food so that we can share that out with others as well. And within my family, we have what we call a 60-20-20 rule. My late father put that in place for us. And the 60-20-20 rule tells us that 60% of what we harvest goes directly out into the community. We share that directly out. 20% of what we harvest, we share with our family. So my nons, my aunts, my uncles, my siblings and all of their kids, myself. And then the other 20%, we stash that away so that later on throughout the year, when we hear that somebody is in need, when somebody moves to the island, when a loved one passes away, when somebody's freezer goes out because the power went out, we're able to make sure that they're taken care of. And
You know what's really
without.
interesting, because the phases of the plants and the beginning of the harvest, but even what humans are doing by plucking the tips of the spruce, and then the leaves of the blueberry, and using them for different things that are nutritious, but that also helps the plant to kind of further grow and expand. It makes the plant stronger. We know in Hawaii we have beautiful flowers and we make lei and all of that, but certain plants like the ilima or even the peacock, when you pick the flowers and all that, it creates more flowers. So it's an unusual. We sort of take it for granted, but and I love that. It's not you don't live from January to December. That's almost irrelevant, and not every year is exactly the same either, I would imagine.
That's very true. Not every year is the same, and so you have to be ready for those subtle changes. And then with things like over extraction, climate change, we've been seeing things differently, or our sockeye salmon have not been returning as strong as they should be in my traditional harvesting area. So my family has been refraining from harvesting those sockeye so that we can make sure that the run can become a healthier run again. And we're not agricultural people necessarily. We don't plant a lot. We do have traditional potato that we plant. We do kind of cultivate and manipulate a little bit this. It's not really a rice, but it's like a rice or wild rice. But we live within the environment. We're weaving in and out of the forest. And so right now, as I was talking with you the other night, it's a great time to go out to the blueberry plants because you break them back. You just pinch them back, you break them back, and then take all of those leaves with you. Leave the branch there, and then take those leaves home for tea.
Yeah.
Tea that you can share out with others, and it's just a really good thing to be able to have.
I want to, because I think we're getting closer to the beginning of the actual ceremony. Something I learned over here, and it's a dualism kind of thing in culture, which we have as well, is the balance between the raven and the eagle. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, it's not a little bit, because our social and political economic structure, it's all in one, right?
Right.
And it's, from what I've been told, one of the most advanced that North America has ever seen. And we are a people of balance, and so we have a clan system, and you either carry the moiety of the raven moiety or an eagle moiety, and then you have your crests under that as well. And what that does is that helps us keep balance to find who we're going to marry. A raven marries an eagle because that's how you create balance, by finding your opposite. But then at other times we also show up for each other as well. Traditionally, ravens would be making the regalia for the eagles. If a eagle passed away, the ravens are there to hold them up and to take care of them during that time of need. And then in a year from then, there would be a party, a potlatch, to pay them back for that. Not to pay them back, you'll hear of them as payback parties, but it's to restore balance. It's more of like a restoration party in a way.
What is the character of the raven compared to the character of an eagle? Because maybe we don't know. I'm not sure myself.
Well,
they are everywhere, though. We've been seeing them.
Yes.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
So I am raven. That is my moiety, and so I'm a raven, and we like food. we like shiny things. I've been looking at your beautiful necklaces here that catch our eye. We've been called a trickster, but I don't think that we're necessarily a trickster in a negative way.
Yeah.
In stories, I always thought Raven was fun. I might be a little bit biased, but always getting into trouble.
Well,
and then
I know a Raven right here, and trust me, she's
Eagle's
fun.
always there to kind of talk sense into Raven a little bit. But there's always a lesson in there, right?
Yeah.
You have to look for the lesson. And so, the characteristics are a little bit different between Raven and Eagle.
I gotta say, and the sense of humor, this is all very Hawaiian too. Sometimes we take ourselves too seriously and all that, but they right in the middle of something as profound as that, talking about about the fun and enjoy and on purpose having fun and enjoying each other and taking care of each other's hearts and being conscious of that. We sometimes don't think in that way. And so, and what you had mentioned earlier, learning how to learn. That's a concept. In Hawaiian, the word, can you say a'o?
A'o.
A'o in Hawaiian means both to teach and to learn. So that's interesting right there, and because it works both ways. But learning how to learn, or learning how to listen, learning how to see.
Shawadaneki Anyat Kusani Shakhatyeda Khu Wasahatu Yakayaki Koneya Yakwahik Hasa Anikok Ak Kwan Gunchi Shueach Kaniyan Wushkitan Ya Akhunkiyan Yahtetan Shinedi Yani Katan Achawe Hatu Yake Yake Hasyati Ya Ikki Haidach Hachunkiyan Sutskan Yake Yaksatini Yak Dekina Yake Ya Yaksatini Yaha Anikuk Nakia ya haidach ku kunana stakat with dene a trainer ya isaku wasahatu yake ti akhwa yuhan gujin koyakan holakachuk dene ina atna tagish Halton, Han, Tanana, Atlena Kudsiti Kunana, Wasahatu Yake, Uchin Hasati Yak, Yet the Kat Yuhan, Naki Dach Aya Ishas, Yupik, Yake Satini, Unangan, Inupiak. Hatu yeke ya wuchin khasati sukpiak yashtakat alaska dakhaya shakat khu hatu yeke yaksatini yashtakat yuhan ha anika chakudak sawe yuhan hatu yeke ti kletka ayahia Filipino salamat Khutkhayanaha Khu Khutkhayanaha Kwan Chicano Latino Chicana Latina Hatu Yake Yaksatini Yak Yaha Anikuk Yakunakhawe Hatu Yake Ti Kanakamauli Hahunkiyan Yishtu Chikanakhaya Yikhur Haani de Wasahatu Yake Adat Yayaki Hatu Shitsini Hisati Ya ask Kwani Haani Dakhaya Wayaki Shayech Hokulea Hayake Tia Wasahatu Yake Sakutin Kusakhantin At Yawanetin Hawush Yach Kudash Teen Aya Ushkanachutu da'at yayagi. Gonna cheese.
He says, thank you. Gonna cheese to get your heart. Stugahadati, Awuchijakaktane, Akusti, Yayaki. Yahayaku, now Yakiti. Ya Yishe, Yukatanki, Yishkashnik. Ya Katuusha Kohi Hakus, Ti Hatatki, Hatachkankian, Yastikatas Yakukla Hakus, Ti. Ya Archaway Quasto has to Yak Archaway Quas has to Yas Amy. Gunneth Cheesh, Mahalanula. We are honored to be here this evening to see you all. We know we all come from different lands, and for that reason, it's exciting to see all of us stand here as one people, with respect, with love, and care for one another. We say, goodness, sheesh. Thank you very much. Without you, this is not possible.
Yeah, well, we want to give a lot of thanks to everyone who's here, no matter where you're from. This is like a home for you. It's like a safe harbor. Sometimes when we're on the water gets rough. We need a place to find shelter. We call that kunaqayi. We also call it deishi. Our hope is that this is a safe place for you, that you feel good today, that you feel like you're enough today. As we as indigenous people emerge from generations of trauma, we need to remember to help each other, to hold each other up. Sometimes we might look at each other and say, gee, they're doing it wrong. It's like the second most common thought for indigenous people. The first is probably like, are we related? Because they're kind of cute, right? So, but the second one is probably they're doing it wrong. So, I just want you to know, a lot of folks who worked really hard. I'm so thankful for all of the work that went into this. Everybody's doing the best they can. If we have like-mindedness of success for each other, of thinking of the things we have inherited and that we will give to our future generations, then we will be successful today. So we're coming from that place, we're coming from those thoughts, and in terms of comforts and safety, if anything were to happen, we would ask folks to file out in orderly fashion. Please be very careful of others, be mindful of elders, be mindful of folks who might need a little bit more time and assistance to get out. If anything were to happen, there are exit signs right over there. There's exits right over here to get outside. We would go outside of the building if something were to happen. There are restrooms to your left. There are some over here to your right as well. Please take care of yourselves, hydrate, take care of each other, look out for each other, and just let us know there's folks who are organizing this, and you can let us know if you need some assistance with something, but we have things to roll through. We have a cultural process here. And to start this process, we're going to honor the indigenous peoples of Southeast Alaska by singing 4 songs. And so I just want to explain a few of these things. The first song, we would actually ask that it not be recorded. It's not supposed to be recorded. It's given permission for Kegani Haida, for the Haida peoples in Alaska, to use this song. But we would ask that it not be part of recordings and it not be shared, because we're not supposed to record it and share it. It is a sacred spirit song. We're going to follow that with 2 love songs. which we call them shukarchucht. They're Shingit songs that are composed for your opposites. And so we wanted to do love songs because they encapsulate both a longing and a joy, and sometimes sadness, but they're usually danced with a lot of joy, and that's what we're thinking. We're thinking of joy as we send our relatives off across what we call Uj or Echini, the ocean. And then a little bit later, the fourth song will be from our relatives to the south, the Tsimshian peoples. So we are Shingit, we are Haida, we are Tsimshian in Southeast Alaska. We also have Eyak relatives in Southeast Alaska. Southeast Alaska is home to a lot of indigenous peoples from across Alaska due to residential schools and boarding schools and a forced relocation during World War II of Nungach people. And so we honor them for being on our lands. We intermarry with all kinds of people because everybody's got good-looking people. And so we also honor all the peoples who have come to our lands and who now reside there. And we also say, this is your home. You are among us. We share love. We share respect. We share honor. We share kindness. These are the things that we try to keep at the forefront.
So we are going to be cutting the video, and we'll go and show some footage of the welcoming, and we'll be cutting the audio during this time only momentarily while we do the Skidegate Spirit song, because this song cannot be recorded, captured on camera, or through microphone as well.
sheesh. Jehovah. This song that we're going to sing next comes from our relatives from the south of Juneau. They're the Yenyedi people. If there's any Yenyedi folks out there, can I see a show of hands? Gonna sheesh. Yishia. Achlik. Ach isha inanach. Ach ish. Du chilk. Achlu yutu wasak. Aku kwandach. Ya achawed ya nedi dachkhana yakhat. The song comes from the Taku territory, and it belongs to the Yenyedi people. My father is grandchild of the Yenyedi. His name was Ashlo. His English name was Willis Jackson. And this song talks about his breath of life was taken away from him one day. And it was his father who brought him back. And out of love and respect, he composed this song. And you'll hear parts of the song where he's saying, is this breath of life going to be mine forever? It's going to multiply like sand. This breath of life of ours will be multiplying like sand. So, the way we're thinking about this song tonight is the energy and the love that our Polynesian relatives are bringing to our shores. That's what it's like. The love that you share spreads like sand. It's not meant to be staying in one spot, but it spreads out so that we can all feel the joy and love that you folks share. So this song is a show. If you know the song, don't be afraid to join in.
Well, that was a beautiful welcoming and blessing, and you know, on our side, we were able to be here during the Spirit song. And after this last song, we're going to go ahead and go into another component. But right now, what we're doing is clearing the air and setting the space for this moment that we're going to
I
have.
guess on the map they call it Haynes. What's up with that? We are in the process of reclaiming the place names on our land. So you guys were in a place called Ani. The name of that village is Deshu. Up north of it is a little bit is Yandastakye. Shkut-A is the name of the lake that's near there. Shkut-Ka is the name of the channel that you would have come down to Ak Ani. So we are here around this area called Ak. Ak is the name of this area. There's a little lake over there. It's called Ak. There's a river that flows out of it called Katini. So we're in the process of reclaiming all of our names because Joe and Bob and Sam and Fred, they're all cool people, but they don't need to put their names on mountains and rivers and lakes and everything. You guys colonized stuff. That's enough. So when we sing our love songs, we sing to our children. My 3 children are here. They're Shuka Khadi Yadki. I hope they yell when they hear the Shuka Khadi Yadki part. They get shy. I don't know what they get shy. So just love your parents. Love your dad. Sing it for Father's Day. Yell it out, kids. Okay.